the Rekord with Big C and his trusty companions, Jazzy Geoff and Stinky Pete.
Yes, we're back. Welcome to one and all. Thanks for watching on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. When I repost that, it'll be there. You probably got it if you got a reminder. And we're back after a couple of weeks off due to the horrific weeks that Shaggy's been through with his little Maisley and the ridiculously long. Didn't ask him before actually how long the op was. I can imagine it's quite a few hours. But anyway, she's recovering well. His little Maisley having the space rock taken out, which is the best news we could possibly hope for. And the second best news, of course, is Off the Record is back, and I've got Stinky Pete with me in front of me. I've got Jazzy Geoff, who I attended a cathedral performance in Chelmsford. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was yesterday. Yeah.
Yesterday for the Alzheimer's Society. It was good fun. Sing, dementia,
Singing for the brain.
Singing for the brain, exactly. And it worked. A lot of songs. I played a few of them this morning as you requested some. Do I Diddy Diddy, and those were the days. And I threw in an I'd Do Anything.
What a great! Did you watch that on the YouTube? Is that where you got it from?
No. I got the album.
The dance routine that goes with it is magnificent.
Yeah, it's a great tune. It's a great film. Although Sarah hates it for some reason. She finds the whole Oliver thing a bit dark.
It is a bit dark, but the film lightens it, really.
It does, yeah. And Ron Moody is absolutely brilliant as Fagin.
Yeah.
Got a picky pocket or two and all that.
Hello.
I'll
be honest, like The Nightfly was a great album to release after that, wasn't it?
Indeed. Yeah. Right, Pete, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
You're fine. You're not furious now? It was furious before.
I was. Don't start me.
Wait for the uncut version of the.
No, I am teetering on the edge this week. I've had a lot on, but I've got it all done, and we're all good to go. So yeah, I'm fine.
Well, Spurs aren't helping. I find as much as I try to brush it off, it's so difficult. I'm stressed out all the time thinking about it, but I shouldn't be. It's only football after all. I do realise.
It's only a game.
It's only a game.
On Sunday, I am shutting my phone at 4:00, and it's not going on again until about 9:00 in the evening. Because last time I did that, we beat Ajax in the semi-final of the Champions League. So I figured that if I do the same thing, we'll get the same result.
Good job.
I'm going incognito for 5 hours.
No, good idea.
No superstition there, then.
No, none at all.
We were like 3-0 down at half time in that game as well. It's a good job he didn't listen to that.
Exactly.
I miss away goals. Oh, I miss away goals
as well. Yeah, I know.
It's so exciting.
Do you think I should bring them in the Premiership? You should get an extra point if you get over 2 away goals.
Why not, indeed?
I think what they should bring in the Premiership is that all of the referees aren't biased against Tottenham and for Arsenal. That'd be a damn good start.
Oh, yeah, that was.
They're renaming the Emirates the PGMOL Stadium. There's been so much satire.
Ridiculous.
Twitter and Blue Sky have been absolutely brilliant. And there's all these parody accounts talking about it's just been hilarious. Absolutely brilliant.
Another dodgy decision at the end last night. We were watching the game, and I'm absolutely sure at the time I thought it's a penalty because
Mickey Van der Gat got barged over and the ball was in play.
The ball was in play. He blew the whistle, fouled him, booked him. It's a penalty. But of course Tottenham don't get a penalty. We haven't had one all season.
Do you know the last time we had a penalty at home?
No.
2023.
And
Harry Kane scored it. 2023. During that time, Arsenal have had about 300 everywhere they go.
And conceded about 500 fouls that could have been
the whole
given penalties
in the box chaos.
It's ludicrous, isn't it?
Oh, no.
The only way to deal with it is to send them all off.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And shut the game down.
there was a German referee talking. I can't remember. It was an article that I read, and he had his things to fix football, and one of them was that if there's all that pushing and shoving, you just red card the first 3 players you see, and then say, right, pull yourselves together. And part of me goes, you know what? That's absolutely what needs to happen, because it drives me absolutely crazy.
It's ludicrous, isn't it? Because you never know
It
whether they're
is.
going to give them or not. It's just
Well,
absolutely.
the whole thing's ludicrous. VAR is ludicrous. You can't celebrate a goal for 5 minutes because someone's doing something with a fucking protractor. It's so stupid. I know what I'd like to do with the protractor, and that's shove it in our Webb's eye. But anyway, but it is stupid, isn't it?
Oh,
You know, we
bless.
can't. You can't jump up in the air and celebrate because there's some bloke in a Nissan hut somewhere going,
No, I know. When I go and watch, I'm at the home games. Obviously, I'll be going on Sunday. But you're kind of used to it now because every time a goal goes in, I'm just kind of celebrating it. But then I'm looking at the linesman, which I always used to have to do anyway. And then you're waiting for the announcer to say that the goals are scored and who scored it. Basically, that's what's happened at Spurs. But
yeah,
yeah, some of them they go on for absolutely ages. Darren Cowan, the linesman who did
yeah.
appear on Pointless a few years ago actually and won it. He made an interesting observation. He said that he thought a good idea would be to ban any attacking players in the 6-yard box at corners. I don't know whether that's a good idea or not, but it's certainly get them away from the goalkeeper, wouldn't it? It just means there'll be a lot of grappling on the penalty spot rather than in
Well, I
the
think the other
6-yard
thing I
box.
think is that they need to change the offside rule, because so that you can only be offside if you're in the penalty area. Because this whole thing about, someone's nose was slightly offside. Well, I mean, how does that work? Because if Anthony Gordon's there, he's always going to be offside. So you just kind of go, it's
Harsh.
not fair, is it?
No,
True.
I suppose it isn't.
True.
I agree with you. They should change offside law because
No, it's
I
the
mean,
whole
offside
thing.
is offside, but they have to make it so almost like this Arsene Wenger rule that there's got to be daylight between the players.
Yeah,
It's got this toenail and the ridiculous
it's
thing.
ridiculous.
Even
It's
when they're
absolutely
leaning
ridiculous.
forward to me, it's ludicrous. Oh, his
Of
head.
course, it's ludicrous.
'Cause
What are
You're
they
going to
supposed to be?
you're going to lean, and you can't score a goal with your head unless your feet get there as well, and they're in an
No,
onside
exactly.
position. Yeah,
I
this
know.
is what they should
It's just,
do.
it's
Anyway,
so stupid. It drives me nuts.
okay, now we've calmed down a
On the
bit.
bright side,
Yeah,
if we win the championship next year,
don't have
There's no
VAR.
VAR.
That's true.
every
And I suppose
you cannot have a silver lining without a cloud.
3 weeks ago, we probably thought we would be down by now. And we might still be down, of course, but we still need to get a point on Sunday. And I
We
must
don't.
admit,
We
I'm not.
don't. We don't need to get a
No, we
point on Sunday.
don't.
If
If West
If
Ham,
West Ham draw or lose, it doesn't matter.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't
No,
know. It's going to be.
listen, we need to
All I'm
win.
asking for is to be winning when we enter stoppage time on Sunday. That's all I ask. I want one stress-free game, and I'm not going to get that with their
You're not.
inept
And
performance last
also,
night.
you know what's going to happen? If we get relegated, it is going to be feral in that ground. You need to get out, because there's going to be people climbing up the stadium trying to get to that Vinay bloke and punch him in the Uter. So it's going to be absolutely feral. So
On that note, come on,
run
let's get on with
run for
this.
the
Let's get on.
hills.
We've got Run for the Hills. Let's link the music there nicely to Iron Maiden. Okay, we've got a theme. We've got a theme which we might do again another day with different genres. Genre-defining albums we are going to debate today. So we're going to offer some suggestions for what we consider to be genre-defining albums across a number of genres. Whether we got through them all, I don't know today. We'll see. We had to get through the first 10 minutes of Stinky Pete being furious. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, whether we get through them all. But we have got punk, we have got prog, we have got Britpop, we have got jazz, we have got glam, and we have got synth pop. Now, some of these I've had a little bit of trouble with because they're not really my scene, as you can well imagine.
I've had a lot of trouble with some of them.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. But I'm sure some of us will talk more about some categories more than others, and vice versa.
That's what I assumed.
Was a good assumption, that Jeff. Good assumption.
I'd
You did
just
like
like to
Puppet on a
say,
String yesterday, didn't you?
Oh,
You were
mate,
bouncing around a Puppet on a
it's
String,
such fun to play.
playing the bass. Yeah, yeah.
We very nearly took our shoes off and everything.
Oh no, absolutely.
At least you didn't.
Sorry, Pete, were you going to say something there?
No, I was just going to say I didn't find it difficult at all. I just kind of looked at the categories and I went, okay, yeah, they're pretty genre-defining albums. Now, there's two things to point out here. Number one, I don't own all of them. In fact, I don't own a lot of them. And
Yeah.
secondly, I don't have to like them because there's quite a few on my list that I don't. And most importantly, of the ones that are by bands I like, there are very few of them which are my favourite albums by the band. Because I think if we're talking about genre defining, you've got to talk about the ones which are generally talked about as being, you know, important in the genre or the greatest moment of the band in question. And I disagree with a lot of people on that. So I just throw that in for what it's worth. So I've chosen them on that basis.
All right, we're going to kick off. I'm going to throw us straight in. I've got them all in a certain order on my bits of paper here. So whether they're in the order I read them out at the start, I don't know. But we're going to start with punk.
Okay.
Yep.
Or new wave, maybe, but punk. I think that was
No,
They're different things.
They're different things.
Different things.
Punk,
Absolutely,
yeah.
definitely.
It's just
punk.
but punk is sort of generically included in new wave sometimes. But we're talking
but
punk.
wrong, but
I
wrongly,
agree.
because they are different.
But wrongly. Other opinions welcome, but wrong. So
wrong.
punk albums. Okay, well, this probably is maybe my speciality rather than some of the others. But I mean, feel free. One of you, do you want to start off, or shall I kick in?
I've got 4 on my list, none of which I own.
I've got 2.
None of which I own, but all of which are genre defining. So
4, 3, 2. Yeah, doing with Ted Rogers there almost, isn't it?
yeah, well done.
No one,
Yeah,
no one
I
remembers.
can't do that. I can't do that without being rude to somebody.
No, that's true. We'll start off with the 3 that way, and then you'll be right. 3, 2, 1.
1.
Yeah,
Did you see that?
as long as you don't use the middle finger.
Did you see that meme? I think I sent it yesterday with a bloke going like this and saying,
"Oh yeah,
drink 5 beers in ancient Rome." I just thought that was brilliant. Sorry,
I don't speak Roman. Right, so punk. You've got 4. I've got 3, and Geoff has got 2. There might be some overlap here. I'm sure there will be.
There's certainly going to be overlap. I would be certain.
If they are actually genre defining, there's going to be an overlap for all of them.
Yes, true. Exactly, and that's my point.
All right, okay. So, all right, Pete, you go first. What have you got? You're one of yours. Okay. You've got more than anybody else.
Well, I'm going to throw them all out, and then you can tell me which ones you've got, and we'll go from there.
Oh, okay.
Because it's punk, I don't really know what's on any of them because it's not my thing. So I've got 1977, Never Mind the Bollocks. I've got 1977, Damn, Damn, Damned. I've got 1976, The Ramones by the Ramones. And I've got 1979, London Calling by the Clash. They're my 4.
Okay. Geoff, have you got any of those 4?
I've got 2 of those. I've got the Ramones by the Ramones, which I think is the genre-defining punk album.
Okay.
And I've got Never Mind the Bollocks because it was the genre-defining in this country.
Yep, agreed.
Fair enough. All right, okay. I must admit, well, my 3 were Never Mind the Bollocks, Damned, 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 and The Clash, their debut album.
By The Clash.
Now that is more punk than my view than London Calling ever is. London Calling has got.
I don't think London Calling is punk at all. It's almost ska new wave.
Yeah, there's so many different genres on there.
Yeah,
they are a punk band. The first 2 albums were definitely punk. The first one definitely. The second one, Give 'Em Enough Rope, also just not as good. And then London Calling came in after the double album, and as good as it is, and many would consider Stink's probably as well to be their best album. You haven't got it though, have you, Pete?
I don't know. I've got the Clash's greatest hits. I don't own anything by any of the other 3.
Okay,
so London Calling is not just their best album, probably. It's also a classic album within, like if we had to do the top 500, It would be in it because it's a
Yes,
superb
yes.
album.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it defined the genre.
No. Whereas I think the Clash more so does. Shall I tell you the one I think I've plumped for overall?
Okay, hang
Purely
on. Well,
because.
can we just be clear? Are we supposed to be plumping overall? Because I can't do that.
Okay, all
Like
right. We're just having a general
the
debate.
ones
Well,
I've chosen very deliberately because I don't think you can split them.
all right. Well, I would say then, I choose my words very carefully, and I will say this only once. That the album which, were I to have to choose as one, and maybe the genre-defining album, given that it was first, I'm going for The Damned. Even though I like the Sex Pistols album more, and I like the Clash even more still, the Damned album was the first UK punk album ever on Stiff Records. It was electrifying. I know we've discussed about how singles in the 76 era, I think we've all agreed there were some good singles in 76, weren't there? And maybe in 75. I think you can collect a number of great singles from these years. But for me, overall, 75, 76 was a bit bland generally in terms of singles and songs, and the just overall feel was a bit ordinary, if you like, though obviously I've said there are exceptions to everything. So I mean, there were little hints at this in 76 from Eddie and the Hot Rods, but that's not really punk. And even Dr. Feelgood before that, a bit more pub rock. Um, but then you had a couple, or Anarchy in the UK came out as a single. New Rose came out of The Damned from the Damned album eventually, the first ever punk band single. And there was also a band called The Saints from Australia who had a punk single as well. But when the album came out on Stiff, produced by Nick Lowe, every track just blew my proverbial socks off. It was just so different and sort of, as I said, electrifying. I think it was that New Rose, neat, neat, neat. I mean, neat, neat, neat. I mean, what's all that about? All Brian James, who wrote all the songs and played the guitar. It was released on his 22nd birthday. Actually, he didn't last long. Actually, after the second album, he went. But a big quote I will give first. NME have said it has all the residual skills needed for the actual performance of exhausting modern music. Brian James, the most effective powerhouse guitarist since Pete Townsend. And I quote again, the hammering of toms by Rat Scabies and Captain Sensible's bass as guitar, propelling Brian James's exhilarating machine gun axe into your living room. It remains, this is all music, it is and remains to be rock at its messy, wonderful best. And it only got to number 34 in the chart. Stiff Records, I suppose, was quite a lowly label at the time. But I think I would probably plump for that, even though I do love the Clash album better. And the Sex Pistols, sort of, I mean, you've got the Sex Pistols album on your list. Well, you both have, actually, haven't you? So maybe we should call that, if all three of us have got it, maybe we should call that one the genre-defining album. I don't know. It sort of came out after all the others, and they were held up by, even though all the songs were written well before. I mean, like when Glenn Matlock was still in the band, for example, before he was sacked, they had all the difficulties with the media. They had the ban, they had the label difficulties. EMI sacked them. A&M took them over for about 2 days, and then Richard Branson took them on, and then they released the 3 excellent singles after that. God Save the Queen, Pretty Vacant, Holidays in the Sun, all of which were included on the album. And then they had to try to get Glenn Matlock back on to play bass on the album. He refused because they didn't want to pay him up front for it. I just think it defines the album. Steve Jones did all the guitar work, including the bass.
But for me, that discussion you've just had is exactly the reason why you can't say one album defines a genre.
Right.
For me, you know, you've just talked about how important Damn Damn Damned is in that genre of music. And then we've all talked about Never Mind the Bollocks, because whether you love it or hate it, and you know which side of the fence I sit,
I do.
you can't ignore its place in that genre. So I'm very personally, I'm uncomfortable. And you know, if and when we get to jazz, then no way on God's earth can you say one is a defining album. So
No.
I just think I think you just have to look and say, you think about the genre and you say, right, when you talk about that genre, which are the albums that leap into your mind? Which are the albums that people talk about? You know, albums that came out 50 years ago that they're still talking about, 60 years ago they're still talking about. For me, that's what makes it. That's what makes it an interesting conversation.
I think you're right, and I think if you went to the man in the street, 90% of them would not have heard of Damn Damn Damn.
You're
But
right.
they would have heard of Never Mind the
90% of them
Bollocks.
would have heard of Never Mind the Bollocks.
And they'd
What
have
it was.
probably heard of the Ramones as well, because everybody's got a
Well,
Ramones t-shirt.
True.
Well, they
They've never
have.
heard of the Ramones, but they got the
I think
t-shirt.
I think the Ramones thing is. I mean, I would go for the Ramones as the defining album if I had to, but purely and solely because I think it set a standard and a style of music that the English punk, which was different, because
Totally.
the Ramones punk is very melodic actually, but in its tunefulness, that's a terrible word.
I like it though. I like it.
But actually, it set this thing of these are very fast, pseudo angry lyrics, although they're quite funny in places. Like every single song is over 160 beats a minute. It's like that's ridiculously fast. It's a short. It's a 30-minute album. You know, like it's an entirely different concept of work dropped onto a bit of vinyl that really shouldn't be on vinyl because it's supposed to be in a nightclub, you know,
Yeah.
or in a backstreet club, and I don't think any of the English punk stuff would have been there were it not for something of that nature. And you could probably look back at the New York Dolls and say, were they the first?
Yeah.
But I think you see, raises a really interesting point as well, because I think that what bred the punk movement in the UK was the fact that there were no jobs, that you know there was poverty, there was social unrest. You know, it was rock against racism. It was, you know, the National Front and all that. You know, it was an angry time for working class youth. And you know, we can enjoy the music, but we weren't that. We were very privileged. I think if you look at New York was not like London and England at the same time. You know, the Ramones didn't come out of, you know, we can't get jobs, we're sniffing glue at the back of the classroom because there's nothing better to do. America was a very different world then from where we were. And I think that the Ramones, well, I mean, I had them as a genre-defining album because I think it is, but I think it's a very different view of what punk rock is.
It's a musical view.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and because of the socio-economic background to it as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel guilty about not having the Ramones listed. I mean, it is really a genre-defining album. To be fair, I should really have it in there. The only reason that I excluded it because I restricted it to 3 basically, and I didn't actually get the Ramones album, believe it or not, when it came out. Whereas these other 3, I did. So that's probably why I did it. I got the subsequent Ramones album, Leave Home, I think was the first one I got on import. And then I only went back to listen to the Ramones debut album. But it is, as you both of you have said, it is a genre-defining album. So we're not going to specify any specific one as a genre-defining.
It's your podcast. You can specify whatever you like, Cole.
Well, I mean, I from a personal perspective, I think overall I like the Clash album, the debut album, the best.
Oh, but liking is not the same thing.
No, exactly. So in that case, I would have to go for the Damned because I say it really hit me at the time, and it was just so different and punky. And the cover,
Yeah.
them all screaming and having cakes in their face and stuff. Um, and I suppose I would have to say that. But yeah, the Ramones superb as well. Can't argue with that. Um, yeah, never mind the bollocks. Definitely would have to be like I think because it was a number one album. It was the first punk number one album.
Yeah.
So that's why people will remember, as Jeff said, that's why people would, as you say, walk down the street, they'd probably bring up the subject of Never Mind the Bollocks, even though it's an obscene word, apparently. That's another
Not allowed.
delay for the album, wasn't it? When they had
Yeah.
brought in, yeah, the fact that it was used in the church, early translations of the Bible, apparently, use the word bollocks for testicles. They then changed it to stones.
I've always liked
So
I've
never
always
mind
liked
the
the Bible
Stones.
anyway.
Here's the Sex Pistols would have a different vibe completely, wouldn't it?
And it will be
Uh,
interesting also about how much of their career would have gone if they'd been called the Rolling Bollocks.
yes, true. A good name. Good name. All right.
It is a
Okay.
good
So
name.
we've got a few nominations there, nominees, which we're not going to bother to go for. We do that on our awards and our idols bit that we do.
Okay.
So let's move on. Let's move on from punk. And again, in no particular order, is in order because in the order I've got them on my bit of paper. Sticking with Britain, and it's Britpop. Another not one of
Ooh.
we'll get on to jazz and stuff afterwards. Britpop. What do you think? How many have you got? Either
I've
of
got
you?
5.
I've got two.
1, 2, 3, 4. See, I've got 5 as well.
Okay.
I don't
Um,
see. I have a problem
Oh,
with
hang
it. I
on.
don't see how you can have 5 genre-defining albums. How does that work?
no, but they're nominees for albums.
Well,
Albums.
nominees
I think.
for.
Yeah,
Okay.
these are genre-defining albums, or could be discussed in any subject. If we're talking about genre-defining albums, which albums do I think could be in there for debate?
Yeah,
And
and that's the way you've got to look at it because I think it's impossible to choose one album. It just, I wouldn't even have said, yeah, this is a good thing to do if that was what we were going to do because it's literally impossible. And one of the categories I looked at it and thought, there's 3 here which have to be in this, all of them, and on any given day you could choose them. So I just think, yeah, no, just go for it.
right, Britpop. Then, Jeff, what are your two then?
Okay, so I've got 1993 Modern Life is Rubbish by Blur.
Okay.
Not an album I know at all, but I have a friend who is very into Britpop who said you can't go past it. So I did a bit of look up in it, and according to wherever it was I looked, the album sets the musical parameters and defines the general style and ethos of the genre. I say I don't know the album. It's not my gig. It's not my style particularly. Um, but I say my young and knowledgeable friends say that it is the defining album in their opinion, and I think it was Wiki. Kind of sort of generally agrees with that. The one that I chose for the same reason as Nevermind the Bollocks, really, because although it's nowhere near the one of the early ones, I think it's the album that put Britpop into the global world and into the everyman's pocket, as it were.
Hmm.
Into the collections of ordinary people, and that's what's the story, Morning Glory, by Oasis. I, I think the songs on it are immaculate, most of them. They're all they're all songs that most people know, um, and and as I say, I think without it, Britpop would have stayed not as a cult, but as a smaller a smaller genre. But with it, it went worldwide. It went nationwide. It went to everybody and anybody.
Went international. I
Well,
find
it's
this
not
all
just
very.
international. It's the man in the street again, isn't it? It's not
Yeah.
something which I like that because I like Britpop. It's here's a song I've heard on the radio. Oh, is that Britpop? Brilliant. Okay, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, referring back to the Blur one, I find it all very surprising. In You say you have friends,
I know. What can I do? I pray every day for another one to come along.
and they did,
You know,
and they
and
discussed
every now and again, God is good to me. I guess.
modern
Well, have
life
a chat
is
with this fella. He's okay.
okay. Modern life is rubbish. I know that Jackie Martin's been on the podcast
Yeah.
a few times. Big Eurovision fan. Whether she boycotted it this week, I don't know. Like many seem to have done, due to Israel's participation.
They came
Um,
second or something, didn't
yeah, they came second. Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
they?
No,
Um,
no fixing in the voting there. Don't start me on that one, or else I might have to go Vesuvian again.
They should have referred
uh,
it to VAR, I reckon.
you think? Oh, they're all pretty awful, the songs, aren't they? But they always
The
are.
one
Actually,
To
no,
be
the
perfect.
one
this
that
year,
won is appalling.
this year there was some quite good ones. It was a much better Eurovision than it has been for a long time.
Oh, really? Blimey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't see that. Well, I watched it, but I didn't see that. I thought
There was
that
there
the
was half a
vast
dozen that I
majority were
really
pretty
enjoyed.
awful. Um,
Anyway,
okay.
Jackie, Blur.
Jackie, yeah, she's a big Brit pop fan. To be careful how I'm saying this, really. A big Brit pop fan. And she loves Blur. That's her big band. I think a big band and a Modern Life is Rubbish, I think is her top album. So that says something.
Well, there we go.
Pete, have you got any Blur? Have you got any Oasis?
I've got five. I have got What's the Story, Morning Glory by
Oh,
Manx. I've also got Definitely Maybe. I think it could be either of those.
yeah.
I've got Park Life by Blur, which I think is much more mainstream and a lot more people know it. Now, does that make it genre defining? Maybe not, but that was the one I chose. Um, Different Class by Pulp, which I think does deserve to be in there. And The Outsider, which I think is Britpop and which is definitely genre defining, is Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve.
Oh, you
So,
mean the album Urban Hymns?
yeah, sorry, yes, I mean
Yeah,
Urban
Urban
Hymns.
Hymns. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I plumb for Urban Hymns as one of my five as well.
okay.
Also plumb for Definitely Maybe. Although I think prefer What's the Story, Maury Glory, but Definitely Maybe was definitely I think fairly genre defining. The first one of theirs, their debut album, a load of hits from it, Supersonic and what are the other ones? Shaker Maker, which is the one that sounds like I like to teach the world to sing. And Live Forever, did I say? Supersonic, Cigarettes and Alcohol. And the closing track, Married with Children, the acousticy one. Love that. Number one album. I went for Definitely Maybe, but I could well have gone for What's the Story, Morning Glory. And Urban Hymns I've mentioned, which again has got 4 singles on it. You mentioned Bittersweet Symphony. Also
Drugs don't work.
Drugs Don't Work, which is a number 1 single.
Yeah, it's a great
So
song.
boring.
I love it.
Yeah, he's
It's
not that
such
keen
a
on it.
boring song.
Do you not like it,
And
Jeff?
Sonnet
No,
was
well, I don't mind
wasn't
it.
Sonnet
It's
a
just
single?
boring.
Yes. Sonnet
Sonnet
and Lucky Man.
was the Lucky Man. Yeah, I think it's
And
a
Lucky
great
Man.
album. I don't own any of these except for Urban Hymns, and I bought Urban Hymns pretty well when it came out because I
Okay.
heard a few tracks and I thought this guy. And I've seen Richard Ashcroft live down at the Isle of Wight Festival in 2016. He was terrific, really, really good. He's a good songwriter.
Interesting you should say that about Erling Hün's the only one, because I was going to say, if any of these albums that you would have, I would bet that would be the one that you have.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's got boring songs
It's
on
not
it.
raw. It's quite a well put together album, isn't it? And there's
It's
some
well
great tunes
it's
in it
well
as well.
put together. It's well produced, and he's just a good songwriter. You
Yeah.
know, of all of them, I think he's. I think what's interesting for me is that I can't remember what it was. Must have been some. Was it Glastonbury last year that Pulp played at?
Yeah.
Were they? Were they there
It could have
last
been.
year?
Could have been.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. And what's the name of the singer? Looks like a geography teacher.
Jarvis Cocker.
Jarvis Cocker. Yeah, he was brilliant, and it was I watched the whole set, and I really really enjoyed it.
Mm.
And I thought actually, I ought to go back and have another listen to this, and and see. I thought it was. I thought they were really good live. Really enjoyed them.
All
But
right,
I don't.
and what I've got the other three I had. One was, I think, almost it was a precursor to the Britpop, and I think a major influence on the Britpop, which I think might even qualify it as being genre defining. And that's the Stone Roses
Yeah.
debut album,
Good.
self-titled Stone Roses.
Well,
Uh,
it's a good album.
It is a good album, and it's an album that I
You,
didn't really appreciate at the time.
yeah, you've
No.
played quite a bit of it on the radio, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed everything I've heard. But for me, is that really Britpop?
Mm, it's
It
British
sounds.
and it's pop.
It,
It's sort of
Yeah, but I mean,
Beatles
yeah, but on that
influences.
basis, the Beatles are Britpop. No, but for me, it sounds like I'd call it alt rock, really.
you call it what?
Alt
Alt
rock.
rock.
I think he's
Oh,
getting
Yeah.
alt
posh.
rock.
Alternative
I
rock.
thought you said
Yeah.
alt rock, as in what you get in Lord of the Rings.
Well, that too. No, I mean,
It was that they were there at the end of the what do you
80s.
call it, like the groove, the what?
End of the 80s, isn't it?
End of the
89. I
80s,
think
yeah.
it came out. Yeah, yeah.
But they were there at the end of the rave stuff and all that sort of thing, and the beginning of Britpop, and they
Yeah.
kind of merged the
Melded the
two
two together.
together.
Yeah, exactly right, I
Um,
think. That's why probably
yeah,
I didn't really appreciate at the time. It was a little bit, I don't know how to describe it as alt rock, but sort of jangle pop. It's like dancey, and that groove didn't get to me. It was quite groove, and there's like a
yeah.
feel to a lot of the songs. And I don't know, I didn't appreciate at the time just how good the songs were.
no,
Even
well,
though
I'm
Ian
exactly the
Brown's,
same.
yeah, yeah.
And listening to them when you've played them on the radio, I've thought actually this is really good, and I've never ever given it any consideration at all because I just kind of assumed it wasn't my thing. But the more you've played it, the more I've thought actually I'm probably going to have to listen to this album because yeah,
I
it's
think it
good.
might be an idea. I'll try and play one tomorrow as well, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember listening to. I think the first time I got into, I went to see Liam Gallagher at Wembley, no, at the O2 when someone had some spare tickets. I think it might have been Big Al. My brother had a couple of spare tickets, so we went to see him. And you know, they have all the music before he comes on stage, and they're playing all that sort of Britpoppy type stuff. And they played "I Am the Resurrection" and the way the crowd was singing, it was like it was almost a gig, unbelievable. And I quote that the album has accessible melodies of the Beatles, resonant guitars of the Byrds, the cheeky humour of the Smiths, and the self-fulfilling arrogance of the Sex Pistols. That's how it's
Wow.
described.
So
Um,
where do the Smiths fall in this? Just that having mentioned them, do they
Good
fall into
point.
Britpop or not?
Well, they were like a
No.
little earlier, weren't they? Like in the 83, 84 time. I,
Well, they
I always think
were.
Britpop was very 89, 90 onwards, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was, but musically, they fit into Britpop quite happily.
Well, true, but then so do the Buzzcocks, and so do,
It's
you know, it's
yeah,
difficult, isn't it? They all sort of. I
yeah,
mean, I was said Britpop is like new wave to me. It's like the guitar bands, good tunes, and none so much sort of electronic stuff and
mm,
dancey and big hair like in the 80s, the shoulder pads. Yeah, that's what I think. And they had a lot of hit singles, like 7 singles from it as well. Made of Stone, She Bangs the Drums, Fool's Gold, which is used
yeah.
by, was it Sky Sports? The sort of bit of bass on that as well.
Okay.
Introducing the football shows on a Sunday, Super Sunday, or contractual Sunday, as it's sometimes called, when you've got the likes of well, Tottenham in the Championship on there. Waterfall's another great song. Iron Resurrection's probably my favourite. Even with the 3-4 minute guitar bit at the end of John Squire, just giving it all.
Mm.
I might play that tomorrow, as I said. So the Stone Roses, and another earlier
Sounds like
one
my kind of thing.
is the Lars.
Oh, forgot that's
Yeah,
a great, absolutely great album.
Yeah, the Lars. I mean,
Now that is an album I do own. I've only got it on download, but it's a
you still got
really
it though.
really good
Yeah.
album. Yeah, it's a terrific album. Forgotten about that
Also,
completely.
yeah, all songs by Lee Mavers and John Power, the bass
Yeah.
player, left to form Cast in the 90s, and they had a lot of hits as well. Um, They had 4 singles, but the big one, of course, is There She Goes.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's heroin in the veins or the love of someone, we don't really know. But nevertheless, again, very Beatley, very 60s inspired stuff.
Yeah.
It's a bit
Uh,
more poppy than rocky,
yeah, it's
isn't it?
slightly more poppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it sort of went against, it was at odds with the sort of prevailing scenes of 1990 when it came out,
Mm.
like the Manchester stuff, like the Happy Mondays, even the
Happy
Stone
Mondays,
Roses
yeah.
to a certain extent. Shoegaze, is it called? Or even grunge. It wasn't really any of those, but they were more acoustic
Shoegaze.
1960s sensibilities stuff and melodies as well.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
shoegaze is a genre. Just ask Simon; he's into shoegaze, and so's Seth. I've no idea
Is
what it
it
is.
as in SHOE or U?
Yes.
Yeah, shoegaze
Yeah,
as
yeah,
in the
I think
P.
maybe the Stone Roses could be categorised as a shoegazing thing because it's all,
Oh,
sort of
don't ask me. Got
looking
no
down at their
idea.
shoes. I don't know. And
Okay.
the other overlooked band, I think because you've got the top 4 Britpop bands, I would say Oasis and Blur and Pulp and The Verve. I'd say maybe the top 4.
I would say
Uh,
so.
Supergrass are a band that get overlooked quite a bit, and I think they had a great debut album, I Should Coco, which is also a great name for an album. And their musical influences similar, really. Buzzcocks, Jam, Madness, and the Kinks. And they had a number 2 hit with All Right. So we've
Now,
got,
hang on. If you're looking for a great name for an album, in
go on
the
here.
vast collection of vinyl that I got from my dear friend Mr. Sears a
Yes.
couple of weeks ago, which I've been playing my way through with great joy and happiness, there is one album by Clive John, who was in Man with Deke Leonard and various others, produced by your friend Dave Edmonds at Rockpile Studios.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And the album is called You Always Know Where You Stand with a Buzzard. And I just think that's a terrific name for an album. And you go, what kind of drugs were they doing when they thought
I
that was
don't
a good
know.
idea? It's a very, very good album, which I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to. But anyway, I shall. I thought I'd share.
I was listening to, I got a request from Neil, was it the Elgins? The
Yeah.
only song I know by them was Heaven Must Have Sent You or something. I think it was the Elgins. And I looked at other tracks on their album, which obviously didn't get released as a single. But one of them was There Ain't Nothing Like Shagging.
It's a fair
And
point.
then Neil posted, sent me, when I said that on the radio the other day, he sent me this, obviously he's got the album and another track on it says, My Girlfriend Don't Half Shag or something like that it's called. It's strange, isn't it? Did he not mean what it did? It must have meant the same back then. Right, have we done Britpop then? Are we all right with that?
Yeah, I think we are. Yeah.
Oh, I think we are. All right, let's move on swiftly. Okay. I'm going to go glam next. It's next on my list here. So glam. Do we have troubles with glam or not?
No,
No.
I've got 3.
I've
I've
got
got
3.
Oh.
And I've written down that one of them is the foundation of glam rock, and one of them is the definitive album of glam rock, and then the
Can I guess
third
those
one,
2? Yeah, go on. What's
and
your
then the
third
third one is one where you think about glam and the whole thing around glam. You'd go, yeah, that's got to be there. So that was the way I did it.
Interesting. All right. Can I guess your first 2 then? Sorry, Jeff. I'll come on to you in a sec. I'm guessing the one that founded glam. I'm going for Electric Warrior,
Yep, T-Rex,
which is one that
1971.
I had. That's one that I had. And the other one, the definitive glam album. Are we talking Ziggy?
Yes.
Okay, well, I've got those 2. That's 2 of my 3.
Yeah.
And the third one, interesting. What about you? Have you got any of those, Jeff? Electric Warrior
Well,
or Ziggy Stardust?
I
You
haven't
got
got
Ziggy?
Electric Warrior. I've
You
got
got
Ziggy.
Electric Warrior, okay.
No, I haven't got Electric Warrior.
Hasn't got Electric Warrior, he's got Ziggy.
Oh, he's got Ziggy, okay, fair
I've
enough.
got Ziggy and I've got 2 others.
What are your 2 others then?
Well, because I don't know a huge amount about anything, I was reading around about this, and the one that kept coming up which actually is one of my favourite albums, was Transformer.
Ah, see, I've got that down as well,
And
actually.
I've also got that down as my
Third one.
reserve thing. No, that's my
Okay.
reserve.
Now, the
Okay.
other one that I've got is not glam rock, it's glam pop. And I don't know what the difference is, and I don't know whether I'm allowed it, because you
One's
just
pop,
said glam.
one's pop, and one's rock. I
There
guess
we
you
go.
could have some glam pop in there.
So I've gone for Kimono My House by Sparks.
Right. Kimono My
Okay.
House is also on my reserve list because that's on that because I don't know a lot about this genre. I did quite a bit of research, and Transformer and Kimono My House came up regularly, as did Mott the Hoople.
What the album called Mott the Hoople?
The album Mott the Hoople. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which isn't my other choice, but those three, so Transformer, Kimono My House, and Mott the Hoople, all came up regularly on when I was looking at lists and thinking, all right, well, how do you define this genre and who should be in it?
What's the other one you've got then?
What's
What,
your other
me?
one, Cole?
I think you've got my three. I went for
okay.
I went for Electric Warrior, the Rise and Fall of David Bowie, and and his mate, the Spiders from Mars, and Transformer. They were my three that I went for. I didn't have
It's
Mott the
really
Hoople.
weird because I mean, I've got Transformer and I really like it, and I don't play it often, but I play it regularly. I would never have called that glam. So
Well,
when
what the pundits, if they were allowed to call them that, were
what do they
suggesting
say?
is that it was the album that sowed the seed.
Interesting.
So like, it's Ronson and Bowie with him. So
Oh yeah,
like,
and I mean
there's
he
obviously,
worked, yeah, for sure, and he worked with Bowie. I just maybe it's thinking about like the songs on Electric Warrior and the songs on Ziggy Stardust, and Transformer is very low key in comparison with those. It's kind of, I mean, it's not Berlin depressing, but it's quite, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel. I understand it, but it doesn't feel like
it's a very open. It's a very open album. There's not a massive amount of production in it. There's not a massive amount of instruments in it. It's quite sparse.
Spartan. Yeah, sparse.
Yeah, it's not. Dare I say, it's not glamorous.
Well,
it's not a glamorous album. Whereas Ziggy Stardust maybe and Electric Warrior both are.
And Electric Warrior are. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
So my third one that I've got is 1973 For Your Pleasure, Roxy Music.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Roxy
I think
Music.
it'd be very hard to have a conversation about glam without talking about Roxy.
Now, are they not art pop? I got very confused with this.
Art rock, glam. Yeah, I mean they could be. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right. They could be. But then the next question is, who else is art rock?
What about? Oh no, Barclay James Harvest aren't, are they?
No, they're prog.
Good question. What's on For
Well, I
Your
would have thought
Pleasures?
some of the Bowie stuff would be art rock.
Well, yeah, the Berlin stuff.
You
maybe.
mean the Berlin trilogy
But
stuff?
the Berlin stuff would be art rock.
Station to Station. Yeah, maybe.
Have you got an answer? Or was it just a posed question?
It was a question because I in my mind I thought, well, where do Roxy Music sit? You know, they're almost a genre in their own right because they went from where they started with For Your Pleasure through to, you know, Avalon, which is a million miles from that and a very, very different sound.
I might suggest that some of the solo stuff by John Lennon was art rock. And that sort of stuff, maybe.
Maybe art rock generally then is pretty down. It's a bit gloomy.
But then
I think it's in a minor key rather than anything else. Yeah,
that does with minor keys does make it a bit sad, doesn't it?
It does make it feel that way. Yeah,
yeah.
But if you listen to early Roxy, you know, is Street Life down? No. You know,
I think singles generally could be categorized differently to albums. I mean, albums. I'm reading about art rock here. It doesn't give me any examples. Art rock is rock music that aims to distinguish the genre from popular entertainment, with the term typically being applied as a middle ground between mainstream and experimental rock. Art rock primarily draws influences from the wider art world and academia, which includes contemporary art, art music, avant-garde art, experimental music,
Yeah,
avant-garde
see,
music.
but right, okay, well that's really interesting because who was in Roxy, Brian
Brian
Eno.
Eno,
He
yeah.
ticks absolutely every single one of those boxes.
Yeah.
But then again, my question is, so who else?
Well,
Good
if
question.
if you're reading that, listening to it, without preempting another genre, Pink Floyd do.
Well, you see, my argument has always been, and I will die on this hill, that Pink Floyd are not prog. They are space rock, jazz. Not jazz. They're not traditional prog. They get lumped in with prog, but they aren't prog for
Because we
me.
don't know where else to put them. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Anyway,
exactly.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
they're almost on their own. But I think you're right. I mean, I think they are art rock and that kind of psychedelic. Certainly, the early stuff is psychedelia. So yeah, it's. I think all of these categories are fuzzy around the
They
edges, aren't
merged, don't they? Yeah, I'm just looking
they?
at some examples here on a ranker. Sorry, I had to say that again.
Yeah.
Ranker.
What's that again?
Uh, art
Sorry, were
rock
you talking about?
examples.
No, that's Mikel Arteta, right?
Yes, that's him. God, who likes Mikel Arteta? It's ridiculous. Pink Floyd,
Nobody.
art rock. Pink Floyd, David Bowie, Radiohead, The Beatles, King Crimson, Queen. Yes, The Doors, Talking
No,
Heads, The
this is
Velvet
bollocks.
Underground,
That's
No,
bollocks.
sorry,
The
nonsense,
Moody
That's
absolute
Blues.
rubbish,
twaddle.
absolute twaddle.
What
Whatever they're
a load
saying,
of rancor that is.
what
That is
absolute ranker,
a bunch of rankers that did
a
that.
load of old rank.
Yes. Right, all right. Let's
Anyway,
move on from glam. We've had a few suggestions anyway. Mother Hoople's an odd one though, because that's like I think was their first. I mean, they did get a bit more glammy with like maybe all the young dudes, even with the Bowie link and Mott and
Well, it's
the
interesting
Hoople.
because if you take Electric Warrior and For Your Pleasure out of the equation, then Bowie was kind of around the other stuff, wasn't he? His own
He was.
stuff and Transformer and Not, and so I think you could argue a case for Bowie being maybe the genre-defining artist of glam rock
I think
because
maybe
T-Rex
avant-garde
weren't
is
around.
a nice term to put for
Yeah,
art rock. Something
yeah,
just
yeah,
that little bit different.
yeah.
But yeah, and talking about something that's different sometimes, let's move on to prog, shall we?
Okay.
okay.
Stinky Pete's.
Shall I start this one just so I can upset my
Yeah,
brother?
go on then.
I've got two. One which I suspect we've all got because I think it is the defining album,
Yeah,
and
Stinks
one
don't have
which
it.
is going to
Certainly the first one. Yeah,
and one which is going to upset Pete. From what
it's
he's
not going to
just said.
upset me.
So
It's not. It's not.
I've got 1969, Cult the Crimson King by King Crimson. I don't think
Tick.
anyone can argue that it isn't the defining, the genre-defining album. However,
What you can
no doubt,
You
no doubt we
can't.
will.
You can argue that it's a genre-defining album, and you can certainly argue that it's the first album. 100%. There are other albums which define the genre as much as Court the Crimson King does, but it should be on the list.
The other one, I think inevitably I've got is Dark Side of the Moon.
Which I've got also in brackets because everyone's going to choose it, but it isn't prog. But 100%, yes, that's on my list.
There we go. That's me. Yeah. Oddly,
Well,
I
okay.
own both of them, which I'm actually quite surprised about.
That's amazing.
That is
It's got to be one of the worst ever covers, by the way. Caught the Crimson King. That's horrible.
The face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's grim. Well, I've got what did I say I had? I didn't say, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got as nominees. Two of which you've already mentioned, then, Jeff. Court of the Crimson King, in the Court of the Crimson King. Which, I mean, I don't really get a lot of this music.
No.
but I'm considering that would be a genre-defining album, or at least be in the discussion. I've also got Dark Side of the Moon because, despite other opinions, views, it is prog rock.
It is.
Everywhere you read, they say it's prog rock.
No,
Um,
listen, everybody calls Pink Floyd a prog band, and that's fine. I just don't agree with what because okay, a lot of prog music is offbeat. So it's weird tempos, it's weird time changes. Pink Floyd are not that.
but they are progressive,
They are progressive,
and they're a
but they
rock band. I mean,
but
isn't that?
they're not keyboard driven, and they have a keyboard, but they're not keyboard driven, and they don't have that that very particular kind of swapping time signatures, everything feeling like it's falling apart and then it doesn't. They're just that
Okay,
for me.
let
That's
me
the
just
difference.
stop there, if I might, because Argos, which is a fabulous album, Wishbone Ash.
Argus.
Argus,
Yeah,
not
Argus, Wishbone
Argos.
Ash. Yeah, not Argos. That's where we get
Argos is where
the
you go and buy your stuff.
sorry,
and try not to swallow the little pencils.
I was just
Yes.
trying to make my voice heard.
All right, okay. Argus.
Is a prog album. They are a prog band.
They don't
And
call
yet-
themselves. They don't call
and
themselves
yet-
a prog band. In the same way that Barclay James Harvest don't call themselves a prog band. I think
And
they
yet
both
they
are. I think they both are, but they don't call themselves that. They just call
Okay.
themselves rock bands.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right.
it's an interesting right. So they're your two. So you've got Dark Side of the Moon. You've got Court of the Crimson King. What have you got, Cole? Court of the Crimson
I've
King,
got-
Dark Side of the Moon.
I've got Court of the Crimson King. I've got Dark Side of the Moon, which will be my favourite of those two. And I will still think that was the genre-defining one. That's the one. Again, ask the man on the street. Name a prog rock album. They're going to come up
The
with
man
Dark
on the
Side of the
street,
Moon.
unless they're our age, won't know what we're talking about. So
They
it's
won't
not
know
really-
Dark Side of the Moon?
They won't know what a prog rock album is.
Okay.
They've
All
been
right.
brought up downloading 3 minutes tunes. They don't
Mind you.
understand songs and music.
It's a fair point. Chew and Osborne had Status Quo down as progressive rock,
Exactly.
didn't they? In the 1970s when we bought Hello,
You
which,
played
as
something
Gordon
this-
said, it's ironic given that they haven't really progressed in all the years.
You played something. You played something this morning. I can't remember what it was, but I was listening to it and I was thinking, this is basically a Quo riff, and I can't. It was straight down 12-bar blues, and I can't remember who it was. And thinking, well, they put all this clever stuff over the top of it, but basically this is 12-bar, and this is
Yeah.
basically Status Quo. I can't remember what it was you played now.
No,
Man,
well,
never mind.
I probably liked it then, if that were the
No,
case.
I'm sure you did.
And my curveball. Well, I thought you might have the Yes album in there.
Well, no, you said okay. The Yes album is my favourite Yes album by a distance,
Country
not
Mile.
a huge distance, but by a distance. But I don't think that when people talk about genre-defining prog albums, they wouldn't say that. They would say Close to the Edge, because most people, not me, most people say that Close to the Edge is Yes's finest hour. Now, for me, it's their fourth best album, but I would be in a significant minority in saying that. So I've got Court of the Crimson King. I've got Dark Side of the Moon because I knew everyone was going to talk about it, so I put it in a corner. So I've
Yeah.
got Close to the Edge by Yes. I've got Selling England by the Pound by Genesis, which in anybody's language is the one that everybody talks about. Now, again, I prefer Nursery Crime, but Selling England by the Pound has got the Battle of Epping Forest on it. It's very much about what England was like at that time in the 70s, with people being ripped off, the rise of, real rampant capitalism. It was kind of like it was a concept album. Because that's the other thing. I think part Dark Side of the Moon, but all of the ones I've got, you've got this concept album bit, and I think that really is part of what defines a lot of what prog's about. Whether you like it or hate it, don't care, doesn't matter. So I've got Close to the Edge, I've got Selling England by the Pound, I've got Thick as a Brick by Jethro Tull, which again, when people talk about prog, then that would be an album that's always there. and I've got Brain Salad Surgery by ELP, which again, if you look at the titans of prog, you've got Yes, Genesis, Tull, ELP, and King Crimson. They're your big five. And there's others I could have had. I could have had Focus 3. But, basically, for me, being a massive prog fan, I've probably a quarter of my music collection is prog, then they would be the ones. And none of these are my favourite. So the Yes album is my favourite Yes album. Nursery Crime is my favourite Genesis album. Songs from the Wood is my favourite Jethro Tull album, and Tarkus is my favourite ELP album. So it isn't.
So where do the Moody Blues sit in this? Because they sit just pre-prog.
Yes.
As the band that kind of like let it happen.
Yes, exactly. What the Moody Blues and Yes and Floyd have in common is they've got their roots in this psychedelia. And if you listen to the early Moody Blues stuff, it feels much more psyche. And then as they develop at the beginning of the 70s, they become much more, as you say, much more like a prog band. But I think the difference with the Moody Blues is that most of their songs are more accessible and they're shorter. But I mean, I've got all of those. I've got all of those Moody Blues albums, and they're brilliant. They're fantastically produced. They're great songs. And yeah, you're right. They are prog, early prog. But I don't think they're in the same category, league, whatever you want to call it, as King Crimson, Yes, Jethro Tull, and ELP. So
see, there's different kinds of prog. Then I mean, Jethro Tull for me is like prog folk, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
is that prog rock?
Again,
I mean,
that's why I've chosen Thick as a Brick, because Ian Anderson swears blind it's not a concept album, and absolutely everybody that ever listens to it goes, of course it's a concept album, don't be stupid. And so I chose it for that, because if you listen to a lot of the other Jethro Tull stuff, like Songs from the Wood, like Heavy Horses, which I've just got, like Living in the Past, which I've just got, then they are, they're much more songs. Even Aqualung, that's the other one that everybody quotes, but I haven't said it because I don't think, it's like a folk rock album, not really a prog album.
agreed. Now, Selling England by the Pound it's the Peter Gabriel masterpiece, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Double album.
That's not.
Oh no, you're right. Sorry, yeah. Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
So
Selling England by the Pound is the.
Sorry, go on.
Selling England by the Pound was the album before Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. You don't like Lamb Lies Down? I mean, I'm not that keen on it, but
no, not really. It's got half a dozen good tracks in it, but I think it's overblown in the same way that I don't like The Wall, in the same way that I don't like Topographic Oceans. All of those bands got to a point where they decided they would put out this big overblown thing, and actually it isn't very good. So no.
I know. Here's a couple of questions for you then. Firstly, Pink Floyd, have they released a prog rock album in your view then, or are you just saying prog rock isn't Pink Floyd?
I don't think they've produced a prog rock album at all, period.
Okay. And like Genesis, of course, they sort of evolved. You say they were prog rock initially, but then you would never call Invisible Touch and
after Invisible Touch, yeah. I think they stopped being a prog band after Wind and
Gabriel left.
No, maybe they still were. No, Wind and Wuthering and Trick of the Tail, they were still a prog band, yeah. But
love that album.
And they changed.
Love that album.
But Yes changed. When they did 90125 and all that stuff, that's not prog either. I don't think it's prog. It's rock songs, and it's
no, and it's all about opinions. Of course, Genesis for me changed for the better when they went to a more accessible sound. As did Yes, actually. Some of that Wondrous Stories and Owner of a Lonely Heart
Wondrous Stories is the short track on a fully prog album, which is what Going for the One is. They didn't change until 90125, which was the post Buggles thing.
And are all prog rock albums concept albums?
No.
Okay. Short and sweet. That's what we know.
Well, the Yes albums are concept
albums. Prog rock albums.
No.
Well, I don't know. I would say Desperado by the Eagles is a bit of a concept-ish album, and that isn't prog
Yeah.
rock.
Suppose it is,
It
yeah.
is,
Yeah.
and so is and so is pretty well all the Tangerine Dream stuff. So is Oxygen. So yeah, so's Tubular Bells, Hergest Ridge, Omadorn. Are they prog? Not really.
I don't know. It's a great song by Alberto's Y Los Paranoias. Y Los Trios Paranoias, called Heads Down, No Nonsense Spineless Boogie. And one of the lines in that is, I don't like intellectual music, e.g. Hergest Ridge. That was made me think of that when you said it. I've got a couple of suggestions here from Neil, which I'll mention in a sec. But one other prog album I put in, a bit of a curveball, and it almost set. I'm going for the Procol Harum's debut album, actually, called Procol Harum. Although White Shadow Pale wasn't included on the original UK version, it was on a US, and but there are some other great tunes on there that I think are. Well, they feature elements that were sort of proggish in my mind. It's
Oh,
quite keyboard. What with Gary Brooker on the piano,
yes, it's very
laid the
keyboard
groundwork,
orientated.
for prog, including like
Yeah.
classical influences and the use of symphonic orchestration.
Yep.
And some. I mean, I'm just looking at some of the track names from it, and good grief, if they're not prog, they should be with these song titles, like Surdes. Outside the gates of, in brackets. That's such a prog name, isn't it?
It's-
Kaleidoscope. Salad days are here again. Repent Walpurgis. This is definitely a prog album, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you see,
So
this is an interesting conversation because if you say to people what was the foundations of prog, most people would say in the Court of the Crimson King. But everybody who didn't say in the Court of the Crimson King would say the first Procol Harum album. And I've read loads of stuff which basically says that it was actually Procol Harum that started it. So when was the first Procol Harum album?
67.
Right. So you're up. So, it's a fairly sound argument that if they are, with those titles, I agree with Gary Brooker's keyboard sound. And then,
And
of
the
course, it was
lyrics from
later
Keith
on.
Reid as well. The lyrics from
Yes,
Keith
exactly.
Reid.
Yeah, exactly. And when did Robin Trower play with Procol Harum?
I
Was
was
he
gonna say,
later?
it was certainly on the album. What did he play? He just
So
played
when?
guitar on it.
Yes, he did. But when did he? Was he in the original lineup?
Yeah, he was on the back. He was on this album.
Right. So
Gary Brooker, you've got Robin Trower, you've got Matthew Fisher on the organ, like
yeah,
on White Side Bow, Dave Knight on bass, and
yeah,
B.J.
Dave Knox.
Wilson on drums. Yeah,
Right. So Robin Trower, if you listen to Robin Trower's output later, so Bridge of Sighs and all that stuff, he's a prog guitarist. So I think you got a pretty robust argument that actually Procol Harum started it all, but the prog sound that developed was King Crimson. So
and Neil's come up with an art rock band. He thinks early at
okay,
least.
go for it.
Cockney Rebel.
Now, yeah, interesting.
I think early Cockney Rebel would be
Yeah,
considered before they went a bit
Pre-pop.
poppy with Make Me Smile and
Yeah.
stuff. And
well, actually,
glam, he suggested Alice Cooper with Love It to Death. That might be on some of the lists as well, actually.
yeah,
Don't
Alice
know.
Cooper's quite a hard one to categorise because you could say that it was glam, but you could also say it's hard rock. So it's quite a difficult one.
All right,
Alice.
let's move on quickly. We've got time just for the last two. Two that I might struggle with more. We'll go with jazz first then. We'll go to Jazzy Geoff. Jazzy Geoff on the bass there.
I've got one album
Oh, just the one album.
for 3 different genres, so I've got 3 albums altogether. It's, you said earlier, it is absolutely impossible. So you can look, there's so many different bits of jazz, so many different styles, that there's, do you include swing? Do you include big band? Do you include like the guys like Sinatra and all that lot? Where do you start? Where do you stop? And because so much of it was barroom and like club stuff, jazz club stuff, going way back. They weren't ever recording anyway, you know.
No.
And no one album would come along to go, this is the definitive jazz, because there is no definitive jazz.
Can I just
It's
say
not
something?
simple. Yeah, go on.
Because you would have exactly what Jeff's just said will be the same when we come to talking about blues, because
Yeah.
it's exactly the same.
I'm sure.
Mm.
So what I've done is I've done 3 different albums for 3 different sorts of jazz, because I think they are the ones which took that style of jazz to the general population and said, this is a style of jazz that you can listen to, and here is an album worth buying by the artist that's done it.
Please, sir. Is Dave Brubeck one of them?
It is, of course it is.
Yeah, Time
And,
Out.
and he's one of mine as well.
Okay, so
But that's one of the ones I put down in my 3 here.
1959, Time Out, which is the one we talked about, and what it's done is to bring specialist jazz, let's call it that, specialist jazz into the mainstream. So he was a jazz quartet. He wasn't, because that's impossible. But he and his colleagues were a jazz quartet, and they've been doing it for years. And suddenly this album's come out, and the world goes, oh, okay, we can relate to this.
Yeah,
It's there.
this we
In
can listen to.
1959, it comes through. In the same fashion, what you and I would call modern jazz, Miles Davis did it with Kind of Blue.
Which is
one
also on my list.
and mine as well.
Of course it is.
That's not my bag. Not my bag.
Because
but yeah, Kind of Blue.
well, I don't know that it isn't. You stick it on at 9 o'clock at night and read your book, and actually you go, there's nothing better, because it's just doing what it does.
Kind of
But
Blue
it's light,
is
it's respective, and it's not Wookiee. It's not way out there.
It's
almost a precursor to smooth jazz. But anyway, and then I've also done. Okay, I've also 1973. There was an album came out, and it will classify itself as fusion. Now, I don't think it is fusion. I think it's actually just another branch of modern jazz, which is Headhunters by Herbie Hancock.
Now, nice.
It is very weird in places, like excessively weird in places. But there is something intoxicating and hypnotic about it that makes you want to listen. And because Hancock had had all the soul stuff in his past, which he'd been involved with, suddenly there was a whole bunch of people who went, okay, this is modern jazz, this is fusion jazz, whatever you want to call it. It's out there, it's very odd, but somehow or other, this album, and you would recognise some of the stuff because it gets used on the telly for all sorts of stuff. And you would go, oh, okay, I've heard that before. Now, you might not even want to hear it again, but you've heard it before, you know? So I've picked those 3 for those reasons. And someone else will pick another 3 for all the same reasons, I'm sure.
No, I mean, I've got 4, and I chose Time Out and Kind of Blue as 2 of my 4. So for the same reasons.
What are the others?
My other 2, I chose another Miles Davis because I think it was a different subgenre of jazz, because Miles Davis went from Kind of Blue and Music for Lovers, both of which are put it on at 11 o'clock at night with a big whiskey in your hand and fall asleep in the chair music. And that's, you know, I absolutely love both of them. But then he went into his his precursor to much more free form, make it up as you go along. And I don't think you can argue very hard against Bitches Brew for that. So I've got that down. But then also you've got, well, you know, the favorite jazz musician of, or one of the favorite jazz musicians of Bosch, which is John Coltrane.
John Coltrane.
So I've chosen A Love Supreme, which I
Oh, yeah,
also
Love Supreme. Yeah.
is a brilliant album
Now,
of its sort.
I love jazz generally, as you are aware. I've got Love Supreme. I cannot play it.
I
can't listen to this. It hurts.
Yeah, I've got
Weird,
two.
isn't it?
I've got two John Coltrane albums, which I got bought for my 50th birthday by Ralph, and I
Well, that was a
play them
while ago.
regularly. It was. But
What have
it's
you got, Cole?
Well, I had Time Out and I had a kind of blue. Again, this is very difficult because I'm not. I mean, I had Bitches Brew as a possibility between him and that one and kind of blue because I knew that they were big jazz albums. But amazingly, I think I do actually have a kind of blue. And mind you, I've got everything virtually. I do have a kind of blue, and I do have Time Out now because obviously we discussed it recently. And I didn't have Bitches Brew, but it is often, I think, on the list. Is it one of these 1,001 albums you must hear before you die? I don't know.
There's
probably
two.
is.
There's two of his albums. There's Bitches Brew and there's Feed a Kilimanjaro, which is even
Okay.
more out there than Bitches Brew is. But I own both of those.
Right. Well, the only other one I've got then, because I do like the modern jazz and the fusion jazz, as Jeff put it, just does my
Yeah,
head in a lot of the
I get
time. I
it.
must admit. Um, I'm more a traditional man,
Yeah,
like my dad actually. So he likes a bit of the old trad jazz, which it is jazz.
yeah.
And I wouldn't know what necessarily to pick, but he loved a bit of Acapulco, and he loved a bit of he loved a bit of Glenn Miller as well, actually. I mean, you classify that obviously as jazz, but there's no unless you get like a best of Glenn Miller, which it probably is one actually.
There's
Um,
loads.
there isn't, yeah, there's probably not one that stands out. But the likes of Louis Armstrong, Chris Barber, as I said, Acapulco. Now I've gone for Ella Fitzgerald, who did a number of songbooks.
Yeah.
She did, I think she did a Gershwin one initially, but then she changed to the Verve label. And the first album that she recorded on the Verve label was a songbook, and it was Ella sings the Cole Porter songbook,
Lovely.
and I've plumped for that
That
one.
sounds fantastic.
It's a great. It'll be a great album.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
sure it is. I'm
it's
trying to
Ella
find a
Fitzgerald.
ringtone of it.
Of course, it'll be a great album.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with songs like "You're the Top" and "Anything Goes," and "Every Time We Say Goodbye." It's the lovely. Let's do it with "Fall in Love." I'll get a kick out of you. All of those. I love those songs. I mean, she did a couple of songbooks, 2 or 3 songbooks after this one as well, like Rodgers and Hart, Duke Ellington, Irving Berlin, and she
Yeah.
definitely did a Gershwin one. That was, I think, her first album that came out. But I've gone for the Ella Sings Cole Porter songbook. But I was close with Ellen Louis, actually. I quite like that album
Well,
too.
Ella and Louis, I think I'm right in saying, is the second biggest selling jazz album after Time Out. I
After
think
Time Out.
I'm
Ah,
not
okay.
100% certain about that.
Maybe I should have stuck with that
But
one then.
it's a superb, and I pick stuff of it all the time, as you know. It's just two voices that work together, and a
April,
trumpet. You know,
April in Paris, is it?
April in Paris.
That's the one you asked for a lot anyway.
It was, yeah. I
Right,
put that
okay.
down.
In July, when I go to the San Sebastian Jazz Festival for 3 days, I shall report back at length.
Well, enjoy
Oh,
that,
okay.
won't you?
Where's that? That's Sebastian.
San
Where is it?
Sebastian, just up the
Yeah.
road from Bilbao.
Is it really? Where we our glorious moment last year in the
Yes,
Europa League
this
final.
night,
I
this very
understand.
night.
This
I
very night.
understand they're very athletic there.
Yes,
Oh.
indeed they are.
Right, we've got about 20 minutes or so left, plenty of time. We can get them all in, I think. Again, one that I struggled with a little bit.
Well, we've only got one left now, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got one left, and it's
Yeah.
synth pop. Synth
Yeah.
pop.
I didn't struggle with this.
No, I
for
didn't
one.
either.
For one, and then I did struggle with it for anything else.
Sounds like we're going to get the one then.
No, Pete, you didn't struggle. You go, and we'll see where we get to.
I think I'm going to guess which one Stinks is. How many you got, Pete?
I've got 4 and 2 shout outs.
Okay, well, one of them's going to be Dare, surely.
Yeah, I mean, if you said to me the genre defining album, which I wouldn't put my hands up and say yes, definitely, but I would say Dare. I think if of all of those synth pop albums, the one that everybody owns is Dare by the Human League.
Yeah.
It's
a good album. I don't own it, but it's a good album.
It's absolutely iconic in its genre. And of the 4, I own that one, and I also own Sweet Dreams by the Eurythmics, which I think is another genre-defining album. The other 2 that I've got on the list, which I don't own, are Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret by Soft Cell and The Pleasure Principle by Gary Newman. So they're my.
That would be synth pop. I suppose I was thinking that was more like electronic.
Well, I think they all moulded into each other.
They do. It's very difficult.
Now it's interesting because the Pleasure Principle is the second one that I've got. I don't think you can look at synth pop without. It's like going back to Procol Harum and the Moody Blues and like where did it start?
Yes.
Where did all that stuff in this country? Where did all that start? Well, it started with Gary Newman.
Yeah, that's fair point. Although he probably was influenced by Kraftwerk or something, probably, wasn't he?
Right. Yeah, well, sorry, I was just going to say that because they're the other 2 I've written down. You can't have a conversation about synth pop without saying where did it start. It started with Tangerine Dream's Phaedra in 1974 and with Autobahn by Kraftwerk. Sorry, yeah. So those 2, if you hadn't had those 2 albums, I'd argue you probably wouldn't have had synth pop.
I think you're absolutely right, but neither of them, well, Autobahn might be, but Tangerine isn't pop. But it's
heaven knows,
it's not synth
absolutely
pop.
not. No, it's not.
But
it's that, it's that synth. It's what you can do with a synthesizer that before them people wouldn't have done that. The only people using synthesizers were bands like Yes and ELP, and they were using them in a very, very, very different way.
And Chicory Tip.
I'm sure you've got stuff. In my opinion, there is only one which is genre defining across the board as far as this is concerned. Because there's one album that took the whole genre out of a niche market, out of a niche place, and put it into mainstream pop. And that's Architecture and Morality by OMD.
That was my first one on the list, actually. Architecture and Morality by Orchestral Music. No worries.
I don't think you can look much further than that to say where did this come from being a minor part of the music industry, specialist cult, whatever you want to call it, into mainstream iconic stuff, which then led on to Dare and to all sorts of other stuff. And I don't think you can look past OMD.
Well, not only have I never heard the album, I've never heard of the album, so that was never going to be in my list.
Well, Joan of Arc, Maid of Orleans,
Souvenir.
Souvenir.
I know all those. I know all those songs.
She's leaving. They're all,
Did you know where the album title came from? Did you read that when you were doing your research?
We had this conversation before, and I can't remember.
It was suggested by Martha, as in Martha and the Muffins, who had been reading a book by David Watkins called Morality and Architecture.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Muffins, did they do
Echo Beach?
Echo Beach.
Yeah. Isn't it illegal in Ireland?
What? Muffin the Mill?
Muffin the Mill. And what? Knobbing the donkey? Knobbing the donkey.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got...
What else have you got?
What you said, I've got some. I mean, Dare I thought would be up there, and Architecture and Morality I've definitely got. And the others are like Should I have those in, basically? And I've got 3 or 4 of those possibilities.
What you got?
One of them was from '84, and it was Howard Jones's debut album,
Jones.
Humans Live,
Yeah, good album.
which
Never
had
heard of
Lost it in the divorce.
Lost It in the what?
I lost the album in the divorce. It's one that went the
Oh,
other
right.
way.
Sorry, I thought this. Oh, don't remember that track. Humans Live. A lot of all top 20 hits from the album. New Song, What Is Love, Hide and Seek, Pearl in the Shell. There's a song called Equality, which I think was released only in South Africa, which is a commentary on the policy of apartheid at the time. Like a lot of albums, it got negative reviews when it came out. But not only are those 4 great singles, and it was in June '84, double platinum it went, came into the chart at number 1, his debut album. And he's so little, isn't he, Howard Jones? You see him on Live Aid when he came
Yeah.
on to do his, what did he sing? Is it New Song? I can't remember.
No, he's
Hide and Seek, Hide and Seek, Hide and
Hide and
Seek,
Seek.
I think he did. I think it's Hide and Seek. But yeah, Humans Live, another great song, title track. And the other 3, perhaps throwaways, I've got a possibility, were the Pet Shop Boys in '86, a bit late maybe, and Please, their debut. So West End Girls, Opportunities, Love Comes Quickly, Suburbia, um, what else? The other one was Erasure and The Innocents,
Right.
which was in '88. Again, it had 3 big hit singles on it as well. A Little Respect, Ship of Fools, and Chains of Love. Another number 1 album, double platinum in the UK. But I won't list all the tracks. There are a lot of other tracks as well. And finally, another possibility from August '82 was Yazoo's debut album,
Okay.
Upstairs at Eric's.
Yeah. The other one is Depeche Mode's debut album, which I can't even remember the name of.
Depeche Mode.
Because and it's all Vince Clarke. It's all the stuff that Vince Clarke is going if you
True, yeah,
take
and Erasure.
Newman out of the scenario and put Vince Clarke in, it's difficult to say that he hasn't had such a huge influence on it.
Their debut album, by the way, Depeche Mode, the 3rd best thing to come out of Basildon and Essex after the
The
Pinkies
A127 being
and
one
the
of them.
A127. Yeah.
What was the other one?
Road. The Pinkies. That's another band. You remember a song they had called Danger Games? Yeah, I remember a humongous Depeche Mode. Speak and Spell, anyway, was the name of their debut album, as a matter of interest. But yeah, there were a number of synth poppy type bands. I've got any others written down here? I've written down Pleasure Principle. Oh dear, I've written down. Oh no, that's me. I've just written that down now. I was going to say, surely I didn't have Phaedra. Is it Phaedra? And Autobahn.
No, you wouldn't have done because no one
No,
has
I
ever
wouldn't have
known to
done.
listen to
I
Tangerine Dream
won't. Indeed.
unless they were just
I
about
listened
to
to
end their
Tangerine
life.
Dream the other day. It was very relaxing. I
Oh,
chilled.
Ultravox, Vienna, um, Tears for Fears, Songs for the Big Chair.
Yeah, see, I don't think that's in. I you see that
I don't.
we've talked about them before. They're referred to as prog pop. They are. They're
Yeah.
called prog. They're a prog,
Okay.
prog
I
pop
reckon we
band.
could spend an entire podcast coming up with new genres,
New genres.
like new genre titles, and
That'd be good
fitting
fun.
bands and people into them just by
Yeah.
going, well, it's not really this, it's really that.
And can we make countries sound like band names, like St. Vincent and the Grenadines? That is such a band name,
Zim
isn't
and
it?
the Barbways.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we could go on for weeks with different genres, like
The Madagascars.
synth rock. What did you call Tears for Fears?
They're referred to as prog pop.
Prog pop, not prog synth pop.
No, prog
I
pop.
suppose they are kind of a bit proggy.
But he was a guitarist, wasn't he? Mainly, not a
Yeah.
a keyboard guy.
I'm just telling you that when because we did something where Tears for Fears were one of the bands I chose, and when I was doing the research, I thought, oh, well, that's a weird thing to call them, but hey, go with it.
They
Anyway,
were good.
there we go.
They were good. Weren't around for long, really, were they? Yeah, but that's it. That's all of them. So that's good. We've finished nice and early today. A lot of genres, and we've got some genre-defining albums along the way. I think we're sort of, on the whole, we generally came up with the same albums, didn't we?
Well,
That's because they're genre defining.
That could be why.
Which I guess is A, inevitable, and B, probably quite good, really, because if we come up with completely different ones all the time, we'll be going, well, surely we don't know what genre defining is then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't know which genres we can do next time we do, and anyway.
Not the ones we've just done.
No,
There's
certainly not
hundreds.
those.
We could do art pop.
We could do art pop, art rock, power pop, new
wave of British heavy metal, new wave. I
swing.
mean, you got all kinds of stuff. Swing.
Yeah, heavy metal, yeah.
I'm not going to get involved in podcasts about swinging. I'm not doing that.
No, I was just going to say, I think we should move swiftly on.
Move swiftly on. Okay, before the BBC get on the blower.
If we did do one about swinging, get on me. Never mind the BBC.
If we did do one about swinging, we could record it at the cottage, couldn't we?
We could.
Get Fulham involved.
Yeah, oh dear. Right, okay. Shall we leave it there then? I think we will.
I think we probably should.
Good to be back. Good to hear you both. Good to hear you both. Good to have a little natter. And it's great news about Maisley, of course, recovering well.
Yeah.
So we're back on air, and thanks anyone for watching and listening. This podcast will be posted to the usual places over the coming days, to Spotify and iTunes and various Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, you name it. We'll be there if you really want to. Yep, I enjoyed it. I don't know what we're doing in the next week. Are we both around next week?
No,
You're not around next week. Okay.
I'm flying back from Amsterdam at stupid o'clock on Wednesday night. So
Amsterdam. Oh, well, maybe Jeff and I will do a chart or something, perhaps.
Go for it.
Do that. We'll have a chat about
no prep. With no prep for it.
We like no prep.
We do like no prep. This is a problem. We did it 3 weeks ago, and I always notes. I had to run through it this evening just to
and prep it all again.
Prep it all again, yeah. Right. Well, we will be also maybe this week. We haven't been too near the knuckle.
No, we might be on the BBC. We're going to be on the BBC. I can feel it.
We did say bollocks a lot earlier.
Oh, we did. But it's not an offensive word. We didn't have.
It's in the Bible, apparently.
It is in the Bible, yeah. Maybe we should have a little note in the top left hand of the screen. Offensive language.
It's not offensive. It's in the Bible. Yeah, it's going to play really well with the evangelical right in America, isn't it?
Well, all I've got to say then is that's a good night from me.
It's a good night from him.